One of the most important things to adjust for are amenities. But this is one of the most subjective and hardest things to adjust for. An amenity are things that people like perhaps a view. The subject property may have an outstanding killer view, but the comparables they find may have no real views at all. Well, the appraiser has to come up with a value that he'll have to do a plus adjustments to those comparables in order to make it look more like the view from the subject property. So amenities are one of the things they have to adjust for most, but they're also one of the most subjective things to adjust for. Remember that appraisal work is artistic. It's not scientific. The general public thinks that appraisal work is scientific. Like the appraiser came out and measured the house, and it weighs so many grams, and so it's so many dollars per gram, the house is worth this much. It's not true. In fact, large companies that are transferring people, executives mostly, from one place to another, when they're going to buy that executive home as part of their moving package in order to get their employer to make the move or make it enticing enough for them to move, they order 3 appraisals. Well, if appraisals were scientific, they'd only have to order 1. But they order 3, and usually throw out the high and throw out the low and take the one in the middle. In fact, there's going to come a time in your career when you think appraisals are not artistic. You don't even think they're scientific. You think they're autistic. Because how in the world the appraiser come up with that value can be kind of frustrating. But understanding what the appraiser has to go through will make you a better real estate agent. The cost approach has a formula as well. It's land, the value of the land, plus improvements minus depreciation equals value. Land plus the improvements minus depreciation equals value. Now, there's several terms that you'll run across in real estate. You understand there's 400 terms you're going to have to learn that you don't necessarily use in everyday conversation. But what really makes it confusing is that some of these terms change their meaning based on the context in which they're used. When you're using the word depreciation in an appraisal context, you're talking about real life things like physical wear and tear or perhaps undesirable functionality. I sold several homes a number of years ago that had train bedrooms where you had to walk through one bedroom in order to get into the other. And when that home was built back in the 20s, that's just the way they built them. But in today's environment, teenagers would never get along in a situation like that because, the older or younger brother or sister is always walking through your bedroom to get to their bedroom. And so that would be undesirable floor plan, which would be a type of depreciation. It may be in perfect shape, but it's just a bad floor plan. And you can see that type of depreciation even in brand new homes. They're just poorly designed. And so they're undesirable. But depreciation in the appraisal context means real life things. Peeling paint, worn out carpet, damaged cabinets, poor design. All these can be depreciation. The word depreciation is also used in the real estate test in regards to taxation, and that is a whole different topic. One last thing on depreciation. Physical deterioration, I think you got a good handle on that, like a leaking roof. But functional obsolescence is the poor floor plan. Functional obsolescence is that train bedroom that we were talking about earlier. And one last thing that could be called depreciation is economic or external obsolescence. An example might be a major employer for an area, maybe for the whole town, has closed the mill, or they've closed a manufacturing facility. And that pushed unemployment into that area from 15 or 8% up to 25 or 30%. Well, that's going to have effect on all the properties in the area, and that would be an example of economic obsolescence. The income approach to value is all about the numbers. And the numbers that are important in income approach is called cap rate. Rate of capitalization, cap rate, or capitalizing an income are the 3 terms where you might see this on your exam. It's a mathematical formula, and you've just got to know it. The most important thing about cap rate is to figure out what the cash flow is, and you do that with net operating income. Net operating income is not gross. It is the amount of income that a property gross minus expenses, which gives you net operating income. Rate of capitalization is always calculated from NOI, or net operating income. So the first step is to determine that. And once you determine that, then you can compare that property to similar properties and what their cap rates were, and then come up with a value. It's simple math. You can learn how to do it. It's not that tough. And the other type of mathematical calculation and income approach, which is really not looked at as a definitive answer, but is used often on most appraisals, is called gross rent multiplier. Gross rent multiplier deals with the gross rents, not the net operating income that we were just discussing used in cap rate. It's kind of the opposite of cap rate. Cap rate works on net, and it's more of a division process, whereas gross rent multiplier is just a quick and dirty, well, it's grossing this much in rents, and an appropriate gross rent multiplier for that area is 9 or 10 times rents. And so it gives them a thumbnail, just kind of a quick way of looking at a property, but it's certainly not definitive at all. Well, those are some of the things you need to have a good concept on for appraisal. And if you master those topics, you'll find you're in great shape for the exam, and you'll be prepared for the practical aspects of real estate as well.